And we are back on the build phase. I'm here today to talk about some spoilers because I got up this morning, I did the episode of the podcast, I finished all of the preparations for Build Phase League 7, I made some flyers for the Quarantine Cup finals, which are coming up here in 40 minutes. So this is going to have to be a quick spoiler card reveal because I am watching the finals live. And I recommend you do that too. So what are we getting? This is the first stuff from Crossover 3. I really hope they let us know what the new game modes are, although I wouldn't expect that. I'm kind of expecting what we're going to see here is probably the main characters, probably the supporting characters, and they're going to leave us with a little teaser for what the new game modes are going to be, but we're not actually going to get that today. Just double checking that my audio is working. Okay. That weird audio bug happens. All right, so let's click on this. Let's see what we get. All right, we can already see that there's a collector main character there. Kind of expected that given the solicitations. Oh, there's a new team here. Oh. There's an evil yellow team and a good red team. What are these images? As far as team logos go, I don't even know what that is. Oh, so is this like a cup with like energy bubbling out of it, and this is the lid of that cup? Okay, let me read this because right now I'm not really sure I understand. Okay, this new game modes, new ways to play versus. We're excited to show you, so let's get started. Okay, this is centered around the most recent Contest of Champions storyline. Contest of Champions? Like the mobile game? Surely there's like a comic that's also Contest of Champions. I'm going to set that aside. So Contest of Champions storyline wherein the Grandmaster, the Collector, and Maestro all battle over the remnants of Battle World, also known as Battle Realm. So Battle World is where I kind of have started to take a little break from Marvel Comics. I realized that was a couple of years ago, but that's where my keeping up on monthly issues kind of fell off, which is something I've done throughout my life. I'll read a lot of comics and then drop off for a couple of years and then come back in. Anyway, today we're going to look at characters in this issue, and each of the next 3 previews will focus on a new game mode in the issue. Okay, so we're going to get, like I predicted, we're going to get the characters now, and we won't know what the game modes are until later, which is a little bit of a bummer because I'm a lot more excited about the game modes, but okay. So there's an evil yellow team, which is like the lid, and there is a good red team, which is the cup. So I guess we're going to only see the good red team in this. I'm just going to scroll down a little bit here. Okay, yeah, so I guess we're not even going to see all the character cards. We're just going to see the ones that are attached to the good team. So let's start with the Collector. Oh, so excited for this release. Level 1, if I can't have it, no one can. Pay a red and remove a KO pile from the game. Potentially good. I mean, depending upon the matchup, that could be really, really rough for some characters. Like, you do that to First Evil. Oof. He's a 056. Those stats are absolutely terrible. Such a waste. When an equipment, plot twist, or supporting character is removed from the game, the Collector gains an XP. He can only gain XP once for each card type. Oh, I don't like that. So you're going to have to build your deck planning on being the one who feeds the KO pile each of these types of cards. I don't think you can count on your opponent for anything. Maybe you could count on your opponent to feed the KO pile a supporting character and to a somewhat lesser degree a plot twist, but there's plenty of decks that just don't use equipment. So you're going to have to build your deck around this experience condition. So probably it's going to be your KO pile that gets removed from the game, which means it's unlikely you're going to be able to use this in any kind of a proactive way early in the game. Maybe later in the game, once you're already leveled. Well, I don't know if he has this power when he's leveled. Let's see. He does not. He loses it. Yeah, so this power is all about, this is not about disrupting an opponent who has a KO pile interaction game plan, although it could be used that way, but that would be more opportunistic. This power is all about leveling this guy up. So what do we get when we level him up? He becomes a 0-10. While that is better stat block. I don't like 0 attack main characters in general. Not a fan. Upgrade the collection. Reaction. When an enemy player plays an equipment, plot twist, or supporting character, if the collector's collection doesn't have a card of that type, remove that card from the game and add it to the collection. I have many things. The collector can play equipment, plot twist, and supporting characters from his collection, ignoring team restrictions. I'm going to guess that with the level 1, when you remove this stuff from the game, the collection, I haven't read what it does now, but I'm guessing the collection is cards that are removed from the game. Let's see. Upgrade the collection removes a card from the game. The collector's collection can only have 1 equipment, plot twist, and supporting character at a time. Oh, so it's not going to be all cards that are removed from the game, but once one is played from the collection, he's free to add another card of that type. Upgrade the collection will stop recruit powers. So this is the only way to put cards into the collection. And so he's going to work kind of like his supporting character, except it's a reaction. So you play your Dark Phoenix, I pay a yellow, and your Dark Phoenix gets RFG'd, and then I get to play her without having to worry about team restrictions. I mean, that doesn't affect Dark Phoenix, but with equipment and stuff, that could be useful. So this power really isn't going to do anything until, like, your opponent has to play into it. They have to go, do you have the yellow? And if you do, you get to take their stuff, or maybe they play suboptimally so as not to give you good stuff to steal. But even if you're not planning on replaying what that person does, you're time walking them. If I play a supporting character and you throw a yellow from hand and you take that supporting character, most of the time in this game you want to play a 4 cost on turn 4, a 5 cost on turn 5. Not all the time, obviously, underdropping is a thing, but most of the time, especially in those late game turns, 7, 8, 9, you don't want to underdrop on those turns generally. There's exceptions to every rule, but if you take somebody's 9 drop, you time walk them. You take their whole turn. They're not going to, I mean, yeah, they'll have combats with whatever's on the board, but at that stage of the game, good 8 drops are good because they do impactful things when they come into play right away. So most people are not playing dirtily high drop cards. So the later in the game, this power scales very well, I guess is what I'm getting at. It gets better the longer the game goes on. He's still pretty hittable. There's plenty of characters, like, you don't even have to get to the top of the curve to find supporting characters that just naturally have the ability to hit a 10. But this seems pretty good. It's sort of like tuck and pass, but you're not tucking and passing. It's like the opposite of tuck and pass, where you're trying to stall out and disrupting the other person to the point where they can't hit you rather than hiding to prevent them from hitting you. So I think this is kind of cool. This may be extremely frustrating to play against. Going to put that up front. This might be awful to play against, but it seems playable. Seems good. All right. Oh, hold on. When he plays a card from his collection, it can't be played as a resource. Yeah, it never occurred to me that would be a thing. But I guess they're spelling it out that you can't row a resource out of the collection. You have to play the card as the card that it is. Yeah. That seems reasonable, both thematically and power level wise. I don't think this should be used to be able to... Well, I guess would it matter? Doesn't matter. You can't do it. All right, the Maestro. This guy is also red team, which is good. A good affiliated team. I don't know if the team is good in terms of playable. He is a 3/4/6. Decent stats to start. Search your deck for a red team supporting character, reveal it, and put it into your hand. That's extremely good. If there are supporting characters with this team affiliation, which there can't be very many, because what we're supposed to get 4 supporting characters, I think, is what the solicitation said. 3 new main characters. Oh, which I guess means the evil team in this box is only going to get 1 main character, if I'm remembering that right. That doesn't seem awesome. But getting searched, and this is a build phase power, so you can do this on turn. You can search for your 3-drop and then play that 3-drop. That is really good. When you recruit your first character each turn, if you spent all your recruit points from this turn on it, Maestro gains that many XP. So there's a little bit of a gating there. You can't just throw whatever cards you want to at leveling this guy up. I mean, I guess there is some play around in that if I only have a 2-drop, I could just not play a resource on turn 3, so I can play a 2-drop and gain the 2 XP, but that doesn't seem like what you want to do. I think basically what this guy is encouraging you to do is play on curve. So a mid-rangey type deck with a built-in ability to search for the next drop in your mid-range, that's really good. This seems very playable. Level 2, Battle Weapon of an Army of Champions. Build, pay a red, search your deck for an equipment and reveal it. Play it for free onto Maestro, ignoring team restrictions. At the start of your next turn, shuffle it into its owner's deck. Search your deck for an equipment. That's oddly phrased. Like, in what world are you going to search your deck for an equipment and then it's going to go into a deck that's not yours? Like, why does it say into its owner's deck? I guess maybe that's just future-proofing. If at some point there's an equipment that you can put into an opponent's deck, they want to make sure they specify not your deck, that the owner. I guess that seems like a distinction without any kind of real difference given the card pool now, but maybe at some point that language will matter. God King of Battle World. While the Isosphere is equipped to Maestro, it can't be KO'd or unequipped from him, and you lose. You gotta want it more. It loses. So the Isosphere must have this you gotta want it more power. 8/8 at level 2, that's quite good. This seems like a really good main character, guys. You get to search up your curve until you level, and then you get to search for bomb equipments after you level. Decent stats, good health. I mean, you have to search for cards on this team. So, whoa, does he lose his team affiliation? Yeah. Is that intentional? Oh, no. Yeah, it is intentional. Okay. So note that he's no longer on the red team. So it looks like maybe he wasn't the best choice after all. The Maestro overpowers both the Collector and the Grandmaster to take possession of the mighty Isosphere. Isosphere. 1 cost, one of a kind, infinity. You gotta want it more. At the end of turn, start a Battle of Wills for the Isosphere. Equipped character has +1/+1 for each resource on your side. That's cool. I don't know what Battle of Wills is, and I'll get to that in a second, but as an equipment, that scales. A 1 cost equipment that could give your guy +8/+8 on turn 8. I'll play a 7-drop in this, and that seems pretty good. So what is Battle of Wills, though? Battle of Wills requires characters to bid how many... Oh my god. It's a wager mechanic, guys. Battle of Wills requires characters to bid how many power symbols they will pay to take or keep control of the Isosphere. It works like this. The equipped character starts the bidding. They can bid 0. Then the next player either chooses a face-up character on their side to bid a higher number or passes. If they pass, they are out of the Battle of Wills. Then the next player goes, and so on, until all but one player passes. Then that player's character, who's paying the winning number of power symbols from their resource row, no discarding from hand, and then the Isosphere moves to that character if it's not already there. A character can't bid a number they can't pay. Once you choose a character as a bidder, you can't choose a different character to be your bidder in the same Battle of Wills. So here's a couple guys who might like. So to break that down, if I have 2 face-up characters and I choose one, then I can only use power symbols that character could use. So if I have Iceman in play, I can't use Avengers Mansion to pay for a Battle of Wills. Even if I have another Avenger in play, I'd have to choose the Avenger, and then they could use the Mansion along with whatever other locations. You're going to be able to go into this with some knowledge because you can't pay locations from hand. So that means that you're going to be able to look at your opponent's board and go, if we get into a Battle of Wills, am I going to lose? And you don't have to fully commit up front. So I could say I bid 0, and then your opponent passes, and they're just like, fine, you can keep it. Or maybe I bid 0, and then they bid 1. Okay, well then I'll bid 2. And it goes around, so you can have this kind of poker-esque element of trying to bait your opponent into pouring all their resources into taking this from you instead of playing their turn or keeping whatever. If your resources are going into dealing with this Isosphere, either taking it from your opponent or keeping it when you play it, you're not paying for superpowers with those resources. So that seems like it could be pretty good. I mean, you disrupt people when they want to do stuff. There is enough equipment destruction in the game now that maybe this level of investment in an equipment, when somebody can just play Boomerang and no fuss, no muss, get rid of it, maybe this is checked to the point where it's not going to be played, but it feels pretty playable to me. I mean, a 1 cost, even if you only get to do it once, and if the opponent doesn't have any face up, when does the Battle of Wills start? At the end of your turn. So if you make sure that your opponent has all face down characters, at the end of your turn, there is no Battle of Wills, you just get to keep it. So, yeah, I think that's good. I think that's a playable equipment. Oh, was it team stamped? Just Marvel. So, yeah, I think we're going to see the Isosphere. I think that card's going to see some play. Okay, so some more supporting characters that are on the red team. This guy is a 2 cost with range 7/3/1. That is a bonker stat block for a 2-drop. Non-lethal. If Outlaw would wound an enemy defender, it doesn't get wounded instead. So he has daze. So his 7 attack can daze guys. I don't know if I like that. I got sick of killing people. At the start of your build phase, if Outlaw is equipped with a one-of-a-kind equipment, you may KO it. If you do, characters can't attack until the start of your next turn. Oh, this is a combo piece. Okay, here we go. This is just another way to make it so your opponent can't attack. That's going to make Kelly Deck stronger. That's going to make Runaway Chopper more playable. That's what this guy is. Like, I don't think maybe there's a deck where you play him just to use his 7 attack to get things out of the way so you can push attacks into back row characters or things that are protected. But to me, that seems the minor utility. I think the deck where you're going to play this guy is you're going to put him out for 2, you're going to put a cheap equipment on him, and you're going to KO it just for this turtle effect. That's this guy's utility. I think this guy is going to see play in narrow decks that specifically need one of his utilities or the other. This does seem like a little bit of a schizophrenic card in that the things that it's doing don't necessarily mesh well with each other. I don't know how many decks where I'm going to want to turn off all your attacks but also want the ability to get a guy out of the way so I can push through an attack. It just seems a little... I don't know that these two abilities synergize well with each other, but if you just look at each ability in a vacuum, there are decks that are going to want each of those things. I think this guy's going to see some play. Night Thrasher, doing a dope kickflip. 6/1 with range, 3 cost. Wow, both of these guys have pretty decent, like, big attacks for the drop. 7/2 is ridiculous, but that non-lethal is stupid. So Bulletproof, this is a really annoying power. Really annoying power. Mobile, also a pretty good power, so you can attack with him at range and then move him up front to block something if you need to. And you pay 2 less to put equipment on this guy. Seems like a pretty good card. Just nothing super flashy, but good, useful abilities. 6 attack on turn 3 is really relevant. Like, that's a break point you really want to be able to get to, and you can make the ranged attack and then throw him up front as a blocker, which if your opponent has a ranged main character, they're not getting through this guy unless they have somebody to recruit. That seems like a playable card. I like it. I like him. -1 counters, I guess I should say. This guy's going to be super fragile to a -1 counter or something like that. But you can't have a card where, like, everything is amazing. All of these powers are really good. Like, quite good. This is a good card. I mean, he lets you curve 3/4 into a gem of some kind. And depending upon your opponent's deck, they might not be able to hit this guy. They might have to have a -1 counter to get rid of him because of that bulletproof. Guillotine. Ooh, dual affiliation here. So she's a champion and red team. La Fleur du Mal. Once in each combat Guillotine is in, you may make the enemy player pass when they could take an action. Oh, that seems really good. So Combat Master is already really good, and that just turns off plot twists. This turns off plot twists and superpowers. So 7/6 on turn 4, that's fine. That's a fine stat block. I like it better if she had 2 health, but the stats are fine. But that power, once in each combat, and you can use it on the defense too. So if you declare an attack into my guillotine and I go, you have to pass. Like, that's it. If you needed a plot twist to be able to get up there, like, do I have to wait until, well, it seems like it reacts to your opponent having the ability to play an action. So you declare the attack, that gives you a point of priority to say an action. I say you have to pass. Now, if I play something, that will give you the ability to play something, and we would continue. So there is a little bit, like, if I need a defensive pump, maybe I let you pass the first time I play my defensive pump, and then when you try to play your attack to get back on top of it, I go, nah, you have to pass. Ooh, I like this power a lot. This is really cool. This is really good. I think this is really, really good. I like this. Wow, I like this a lot. No dramatic entrance. No uncanny defense. No dodge a wound for Luke Cage. Like, there's just so many relevant things that this can turn off, and the stats are fully playable. It's not like she's a bad card who has a cool power. This is a playable card with a really cool power. I like this 4-drop a lot. I don't know about the team affiliations. So there's some explanation here, kind of talking through basically exactly what I just thought my way through out loud here on the stream, but explaining all that rule stuff. And then it says, we highly suggest you make a guillotine motion when causing your opponent to pass. That's so cool. Can't come back next time to see why life on Battle Realm is so grand. Okay, so they're going to spoil Grandmaster. This is due out on the 16th. We'll see. I hope they make it. And honestly, again, I cut Upper Deck slack on release dates this year. They've done pretty good, even though they chronically miss release dates by a couple days. There's other games that are, well, anyway, I don't want to get into that. This power, wow, what a cool power. I love this. This is Combat Master, but better. Very, very cool. I don't know how I feel about Collector. There definitely seems to be things that you can do with him. Again, I'm really not a fan of any main character with 0 attack. I like main characters that can do things, but the way he stalls out and the way he can start time walking your opponent, like, potentially there's 8 time walks in this deck once you get to level 2, which seems pretty good. Now, getting to level 2 could be a thing, and I think, again, you're going to be really dependent on your own draw to be able to get there. I don't think you can rely on your opponent to have the right composition of KO pile. I mean, you don't have to wait and do this all at once. You could use the superpower on a couple different turns to get there, hit your opponent's pile, hit your pile. But that does seem like a level up that you might just get stuck and not level up, and that sucks. Like, this guy doesn't do anything if you don't get to the level up. Most games, though, I don't think his level up is that crazy that it's going to lock him out of playability. He definitely seems like a playable card. And for the people who like control strategies, here's another one. This is good. I mean, clearly they don't want to ban Dark Phoenix. They just want to give us tools that hurt Dark Phoenix, but also make it so other people can't play functional characters all the way up the curve, I guess. So we'll see how this goes. I definitely think this guy is playable. I think this type of power where you just take your opponent's whole recruit away is... I would rather see a problematic card go away than see so many effects come out that take away your opponent's ability to play the game. Like, the main gripe with Dark Phoenix is that she makes it so you play not versus. She makes it so you play a worse game. And Mutant Control Act, Upgrade the Collection, these are not powers that add cool gameplay. They're doing, like, what Dark Phoenix does, but they can do it to Dark Phoenix. So they're Dark Phoenix answers. But, like, long term, I don't think we want a game that's rotten with effects that say, particularly a game that doesn't use a chain and doesn't have any kind of a stack. So there's not, you do something, then I do something. That give and take response to responses is not something that we've had in Versus. So these reaction powers, this could create some feels bad situations eventually. I don't think we're there yet, and maybe I'm just a little sore on it after Mutant Control Act ruining my entire day on Sunday. But Maestro, I think this guy's quite good. I think this seems very playable. Search is not something that we've seen a lot of in Versus, and Search is really strong. You get to pick out, especially when you know you're going to be picking out characters of this quality. This 4-drop, I think this 3-drop is absolutely playable. I think he's very good. The 2-drop, I don't think he's going to be good in a general sense, but I think the decks that want what he does, this is just another tool for them. So I think all 3 of these cards are playable. I think this Isosphere is playable. Maestro, I think, is going to actually be really good. Collector, I'm not as big a fan on, but I think he's going to be playable. I don't think none of these cards are bad. I think these are all good cards. Some of them are good in more narrow ways than others, but I think these are all good cards. Okay, so it's almost time for the Quarantine Cup 2 finals to start. YouTube.com/CStacks. Definitely check that out. And